Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Bible Thumper Podcast, where somebody's got to say it. My name is Patrick Hayes, your regular host, and with me this evening is Zachariah King, all the way back from Nairobi, Kenya. Zach, how are you this evening?
It's all true. I'm here. That's one of the things they say. I'm here.
So, Zach, you got back in town. Let's see. Today's Sunday, so
Today's
a week
Sunday.
ago, Monday.
Yeah, we can go.
Been a week.
It's hard to tell, man.
Okay.
When you're plus 9 hours,
Yeah, stuff gets messed up.
one of those Mondays somewhere
Mm-hmm.
was 35 hours.
Of traveling
38 and a half hours total
of a Monday.
travel.
Because the direction you go.
I got in the car, like walked out of the house.
Yeah.
The She Has a Name house.
Yeah.
Got in a car.
At
To
7
go
a.m.
to
or
the
whatever.
airport.
Yeah.
Mhm. When I got out of my car
Uh-huh.
at my driveway
Yeah.
and walked in the door,
It was,
38 and a half hours later.
wow.
All we did was drive,
Yeah.
fly, or transfer in airports.
Yeah.
That messes you up.
Here's my question. Did you leave on a Monday or did you leave on a Sunday
So
in Kenya?
it was Sunday night.
Okay. At like what time?
Plane leaves at 11:55 p.m.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you pretty much traveled for 35 hours of Monday.
You land in London.
Yeah.
In like early in the morning.
Yeah.
Then London to Dallas.
Mhm.
That's the one that stings.
Direct. Wow.
So that's like 9 hours.
Yeah.
9.5 hours.
Yeah.
But there's only about 3 that go by. Like
As far as time on your watch.
you could eat lunch.
Yeah.
In London.
Mhm.
Fly to Dallas.
Mhm.
And then eat lunch.
Sure. Because it's the same time.
Yeah. You're chasing the sun.
Yeah.
And so you lose a couple days in there where you just get. Now, here's what we have figured out.
Mhm.
Landing in Nairobi
Mhm.
late at night
Yeah.
is the best.
Really?
Because no matter how wrecked you are from the flight, whether
Yeah.
you've slept or whether you haven't,
You're going to fall asleep because you are dead to the world. And it's like, let's just land at 10 p.m. and just fall asleep. And then jet lag's not a problem.
because
Or it's much less of a problem.
it's much less. If you can go to bed, you sleep that night,
Mhm.
you get up in the morning,
Yeah.
whether you sleep or not,
Mhm.
you get up the next morning
Mhm.
and you do the whole day. You're not allowed to lay down until like
Yeah.
9.
I don't
10
care
that
how
night.
tired we are drinking coffee and we are doing jumping jacks and
Yeah.
we're staying awake until 9 or 10 p.m.
I'm 4:08. It's 4:00. I'm wiped out. What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
I've got a 3-hour walking tour of the slum ready.
Yeah, you got
Let's go.
whatever
Yeah.
you want to do or whatever you don't want to do. That's what we're doing because otherwise you're going to be a wreck for a week. You're never going to
You never-
acclimate to
yeah.
the time.
So then coming back is the same way,
Mhm.
and you just have to, whatever time it is when you land,
Yeah.
where you are going to stay.
You have to be at that time.
That's what time
that's
it
what
is.
time it is, and we're living there. And it's like I want to go to sleep
Mhm.
so badly,
Mhm.
and I can't for 4 more hours because
That's right. And you can't sit. I mean, you got to go do something.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean that seems to be the way to beat it.
Now, what about taking a nap on the plane in the middle of the day?
The older I get,
Uh-huh.
the more so when on the way over.
Uh-huh.
You land in Nairobi, that's what time it is.
Uh-huh.
You got 3 flights on the way over and a drive to Denver.
Yeah.
Fair game. I'll
Okay.
sleep whenever I
Wherever
want.
you sleep, who cares? It doesn't matter. So
Yeah.
long as
I'm only in London for 2 hours. Like
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything with that time.
sure.
If I sleep on the plane, I sleep on the plane. You watch a movie, you watch a movie.
Yeah.
When you land,
It's that time.
that's what time it is. And you go. So on the way back, we got to Denver at like 6:00
Yeah.
in the evening.
Mhm.
We drove home. And you're destroyed. Like
So you drove to Junction from Denver.
we had a
The
big
ministry couldn't chip in another $150 to fly you back to Grand Junction.
Well, maybe one of us. Yeah. I'm the oldest. Don't worry, guys. I'll take this bullet for us.
How many were with you?
We had 12. That was the big
So
problem.
everyone was in one van, or did you have 2 vehicles?
Well, it divided into 2 groups because 6 of us did fly out of Junction. and
Oh,
flew back. But when we tried to put all 12 of us on one plane
yeah.
out of Junction,
The planes are so small you can, yeah.
so the first group had to come back a little bit early.
Mm-hmm.
So we bought their tickets first.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we went back to buy the second group of 6 tickets, the prices out of Junction
We're just insane.
they doubled.
Yeah.
In 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, there's no seats left.
Yep.
And so
They're
if you want to pay for it,
yeah,
go ahead.
Huh.
But we did.
So do you have a sit down and a little training session with all the, okay, everyone, for those of you that don't even know like who this is or what we're talking about. Okay. Zach King is the assistant pastor at the Heart of Junction Church, which is the church building that my church, Church of Grace, rents every Friday night. And that's where we hold church. So Zach is the assistant pastor there. And he's also on the board.
Executive director.
Whoa, sorry.
Well, when you're only an associate pastor, you got to do something.
Whatever titles you can take. Okay, so the executive director of a ministry called She Has a Name. So if you go back on our podcast and search for it, you can find that I interviewed the founder of She Has a Name, who is Blythe Crow.
Would have been last summer about this time. That's when we got back.
I don't remember. Either way, so the ministry, what they do is they help girls get off the streets in Nairobi, Kenya. And correct me, but I'm just going to explain this since I'm going here. There is a vast amount of poverty in the capital city of Nairobi, Kenya, and a lot of people who are very poor live in the slums outside of the city, which is basically a dump.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of these people are not able to make very much money, and they really struggle to be able to support their family. And what a lot of parents end up doing is they force their daughters to go get a job. And the only work for these girls is the oldest trade in the world, which is prostitution. So these girls end up at a very young age, as young as like 12, sometimes maybe even younger than that. I'm sure there are younger, but you know.
The youngest one we've brought in the program was 12. 12.
Okay. So She Has a Name, the ministry, which you can find. You can just Google She Has a Name. Actually, you're going to find two. Yeah.
.info.
.info. She Has a Name.info. And we should remind me when we're done. We'll put it in the comments. Yeah. So if you go to shehasaname.info, you can find the ministry. What they do is they find girls that are good candidates. They get them off of the streets. They get them into a home. That home has a social worker. It has a house mother, kind of a lady that takes care of all the girls and makes sure everything is going well. They bunk a lot of these girls together. There's also a therapist that works there at the house with the girls. And they give the girls the gospel. They give them training with jobs. They pay for their school. All school in Kenya has to be paid for. There's no public school. There's no free schooling. And let's face it, so many people cannot afford to send even one of their kids to school, let alone several. And the daughter's not at the top of the list.
Correct.
So Zach and Blythe and several other sweet people from churches go over to Kenya and they kidnap these girls and steal them from their families and bring them over.
With a little bit of permission we can get it.
With vague permissions given. I'm just joking.
Handshakes.
Yeah. I'm winking a nod. And I'm just joking with Zach. They'll take these girls, they'll get them out of the slums, they'll get them into a home where they can thrive and they can go to school. They pay for their books and their uniforms and their meal. I mean, everything. You basically adopt these girls, so to speak, as far as you take care of everything and you get the girls off of the streets. So that is what She Has a Name does. Again, it's shehasaname.info. So be sure to look that up. Zach goes over to Kenya twice a year, sometimes once a year.
Just go once.
Okay. But either way, Zach's over in Kenya every year, working with this ministry. Obviously, a big part of the ministry on the state side is fundraising.
Always.
And I've been involved with that loosely, trying to help with that, trying to get the message out on the podcast and different things. So there's a lot of work, just trying to get in front of churches and explain the ministry and what they're doing and trying to raise funds. And then they have to go over to Kenya to problem solve stuff. Most recently, you guys bought a piece of property.
Yes.
So that was very exciting. And then you guys are putting together plans for, I believe you guys are in the process of digging the well, or that's moving along.
Moving along.
Okay.
Yep.
And then you're going to build a building. Now, you're okay. I just keep going. Okay.
No, that was
Any
good. That's
corrections or additions yet?
There's always additions, but
Okay,
no corrections. That was good.
So one of the problems that they have found is that what they would do is they would rent a large house with many bedrooms, and they'd kind of make it into like a dormitory style, house where you can put some bunk beds in different rooms and get as many girls in there as you can. But what happens is within a year of that, roughly, the owners find out that Americans are renting the house from them, and all of a sudden prices go sky high, and they charge you outrageous amounts of money for electricity and water and the rent and everything, and they're basically running you out of business. They're hoping to make a windfall profit, but it's untenable for the ministry.
Correct.
And that's happened several times. And obviously anyone that's been involved with people who have dealt with trauma, obviously in this case, there's, I would imagine some form of physical abuse, certainly sexual abuse going on. Whenever you're dealing with people with trauma, the last thing you want to do is shake up their entire world once every 6 months or a year, where you got to move to a new building and change everything in your life, and it's a bunch of stress.
You got to figure out how to get to them.
Yeah. I mean, just everything. Yeah. So She Has a Name has been wanting to buy a property so that they can avoid this in the future. So they got the property about a year ago.
Yep, last summer.
Okay, last summer. And now they are making plans to build buildings, putting in a well. Got to build a wall around the city because, you have thieves and lions. I mean, it's very, crazy, very different from here.
Yes.
So they have to go through a lot of work and a lot of expense for that. But anyway, it's going to provide a tremendous amount of stability that they've never had before. So that is kind of what they're up to. So with that, now everyone knows a little bit about what we're talking about and who Zach is and how he's involved. So Zach, take it away. What was the goal for this trip, and what else did you encounter?
So 3 main things that we really, really wanted to get squared away.
Okay.
One, I got to start with just because of your little jab.
Oh, okay. The executive producer. Was it producer? Executive director.
Director.
Okay.
But the family.
Okay. My joke about kidnapping all the girls. Yeah.
So one of the things we learned early on, and this is sort of a 2 or 3 part thing. One of the things we learned early on was when girls already had kids.
Oh, okay.
We did not have the structure in place.
Yeah, for that to be able to help them. How many girls over there have kids?
I mean, it's. I mean,
no. Girls that you have in the ministry, not like
currently in our program, we have none.
Oh, okay. But that's been a limiting factor as far as who you can accept and help.
Yes,
sure.
Yes, because what ended up happening is, in order to try to help the girl who was in poverty-based prostitution, we ended up dividing her for 2 families. So, and you asked me this the other day. If I was going to do one thing.
Oh yeah, I remember this question.
Yes. If I was going to change one thing about Kenya and I'm sure I'm pretty laser focused. I don't have a ton of time.
No, I get it.
So
my question was, what are your top 3 things you can change in Kenya? Okay, snap of your finger.
Yes.
To improve society and make sweeping change in the country. What are your changes? And I asked this question to Zach and to Blythe because I was just trying to get a little bit of a better understanding as to what are the major problems we're facing over there. Is it sanitation? Is it healthcare? Is it roads? I mean, I've never been there. I have no desire to go. Let's just get this out there. I am never going to Kenya. Other than God telling me, we don't have to worry about Patrick having first-hand experience in Kenya.
Careful.
Okay. Yeah. I gave the caveat. Okay. Unless God tells me. So I was trying to learn about that, and apparently you have an answer now.
I mean, my answer is different than everyone else's, and I understand everybody else's answer.
Okay.
It's generally sanitation.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to be. Yeah.
I mean, so as a plumber, I mean, this is a world that you live in.
Oh, yeah.
I've actually heard world-class thinkers and philosophers say that plumbers have saved more lives than doctors.
They really have. People have no understanding of what sanitation running through the streets does. People don't understand. They can't have they have no concept of what clean water running to your faucet. Oh. Okay. And flushing a toilet and having it go someplace where it can be managed appropriately. People have no concept. Plumbers have saved the world.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like any of us invented it, but somebody was the first plumber.
Yes.
Where they're like, we got to just dumping it in the street is not okay.
And until you go and see it with your eyes.
Oh, yeah.
It is. You're like, what is it? Hasn't rained here in 4 days.
Yeah.
Right?
What's this trickling down the middle of the street?
And then you look up the hill and there's just a guy standing there with his pants down.
Yeah. Yep.
In plain view of 400 or 500 people.
Yeah. Nowadays in America, you got to drive all the way to San Francisco to see that.
Oh, but we've got it back. We've got it back.
Yes. God bless Joe Biden's presidency.
So sanitation, obviously.
Yeah.
100%. Education. So not only does everyone have to pay to go to school, most of the schools are
just say it.
Subpar?
Okay, sure.
I mean, what kind of quality are you expecting?
I have no idea.
Right?
I mean, now, Zach, I don't know if there's Wi-Fi in Nairobi. Okay.
Moses has resources, American resources. He's purchased land and built buildings in Mathare.
What's Mathare?
That's the slum.
Okay.
That we spend a lot of our time in.
That's like a region of Nairobi is
kind of
the
north,
outskirt.
It's sort of north eastern part of the city.
Mathare? Okay.
Yep. Mathare. Yeah.
I don't need to find it on him.
So he's hooked up to city water.
Oh, okay. That's huge.
Guess how many days a week?
Oh, my
he
soul.
Expects it.
What?
2.
Really? Are they regular days?
No.
So you just turn it on
and hope.
And when you turn it on, it's like, all right, get all the buckets.
Yeah.
Let's start filling up the cistern.
They have 10,000 liter canisters that sit on top of the building.
And of course, I have no concept of what that is.
2,500 gallons.
Okay. And it's like whenever we can, we fill that sucker up. Yeah. So and that's your water tower.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're just on top of buildings.
Oh, yeah.
We have 2 at the She Has a Name house.
Yep.
So if the water's on.
Yeah, great. Let's fill this thing up.
Till it stops.
When the water is on, is it clean and drinkable?
The water that's on will be clean and drinkable.
Huh. Okay.
Now, we don't drink it.
We as foreigners don't drink it?
Right. The locals will.
Huh. Have you guys ever drank it and had issues? Were you told not to drink it? Listen, white man.
By the locals.
They would. Okay, so you show up and they're like, "Yeah, do not
you
drink."
Guys aren't
okay,
want to do this.
You're going to want to boil that. All right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Or I mean, there's bottled water.
Yeah.
There's when you have resources, there's things you can get. But so that's all sort of that's one problem. The education component is an issue. But I think the one thing that would trickle down into benefits for both of those categories immediately is tackling fatherlessness.
Well, I mean, I hate to tell you, Zach, that helped Baltimore too.
Baltimore, I'm not sure about. I don't know about this one.
Oh, I mean, Baltimore no more than, Chicago or several other, massive cities with large single mother populations in poverty.
Yes.
I'm just saying, it's
we are gonna. You might get to learn about a couple of the problems that I know about firsthand here pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So, and I think, other than basic human, there's fatherless everywhere.
There is, but when you bring that up, is it like every single family? Is it you know what I mean? Is it almost every family?
So I'll give you some statistics.
Sure. Give us an idea.
I've counted personally.
Yeah, sure.
There were over 200 people at church.
Mm-hmm.
So we Inspiration Center. It's a church that we're involved with there. Moses is the pastor there. There were over 200 people there at church.
Okay.
The first week we were there. There were 8 men, Kenyan men, between the age of 25 and 50, out of 200 people.
Wow.
8. We have 8 girls in the program currently. 2 of them have met their father.
Does he live at home with their mother currently?
One used to.
Okay.
The other one never did. Several have never met him.
What's the reasoning behind that?
Threefold.
Okay.
Number 1, basic human sin.
Okay, just the idea of, I just don't feel like being tied down and dealing with this.
And so instead of having a bar scene or like a college scene or
speak for yourself, assistant pastor. Okay, executive director.
The Royal We of America. When you're in the slums, I mean, it's just like, it's free for all in there. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But there's 500,000 people in 3 square miles.
Wow. And none of them have electricity. No one's watching Sports Center.
You can run an extension cord to
the street light.
So, like a space the size of this room.
Yeah.
And I know nobody can see it on screen, but this will help you out. This will be 2 homes. Okay. And I've been in homes that were half the size of this room that 5 people lived in permanently.
Wow.
For years at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people literally this is part of their entertainment, and what to do is,
you're unemployed. You dropped out of school 8 years ago.
Sure.
You're drunk half the time anyway.
Okay. So there's a lot of substance abuse.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Always find money for that.
There's always a little bit. I think so culturally. I think the most interesting thing is the dowry system. And I haven't done. I would have to stop and think a little bit biblically about was there a mandated Israelite dowry? I
remember something in the Bible. I'm going to see if I can, look it up real quick. But either way.
So here's how it works.
Yeah.
A daughter can be useful to the family in one of 2 ways. She can produce income.
Okay.
By getting married, and the groom pays a dowry, or she can produce income in some other way.
Yeah, but a dowry is kind of like a one-time.
Well, it depends how expensive it is. So
really?
Here's what happens. Let's say you make $1 a day.
Okay, that's my average income. Okay, for me and my family.
You and your family.
All right.
$30. Let's say you have a 15-year-old daughter.
Okay.
And you've set the dowry, and everybody else in the neighborhood makes $1 a day.
Sure, that's not just me. That's okay. That's going right.
$375 a year. Okay. So you set the dowry for your daughter at $7,000 US.
I mean, but who is paying that?
No one.
So what's the point of?
No one gets married.
I mean, okay. Follow my logic here.
Yeah.
Zach, this here is a collector's coffee mug. All right. It's amazing mint condition. What you
Sure.
I want $10,000.
Yeah.
Am I ever going to get that?
No.
Okay, so what's the point of pricing it at that? Why not?
Because if you did get it,
But I mean,
wow.
are rich people coming to the slums of Nairobi once in a while and showing up and buying rides for $7,000?
Very occasionally.
Why? Okay, I mean, for me, like I never expected. You see my point.
Oh,
It's like,
yes,
why
of course
not
I do.
make the dowry something reasonable and
I'm
obtainable?
making the same point. And so sometimes people will. And so you go, you know what? 2 cows.
Mhm.
Guess who hates that?
Mm.
The daughter. She knows it's like a hierarchy.
Mhm.
Mom thinks I'm worth 2 cows. She thinks so and so is worth, 25 cows.
Yeah.
So now there's tension between the mother and the daughter because I'm telling you, man, it is. If the question is, what are the top 3 things that you would change at the snap of a finger?
One of yours would be the dowry system.
So that
Just get rid of
so
it.
that people could get married.
Sure.
So it gets worse. I've got a friend there. He's in his late 40s.
Okay.
He just finished paying off. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
His dad's dowry.
So this is an inherited.
If your grandpa didn't pay it all up,
Mhm.
your dad inherits it. Your dad doesn't. So you have to pay off. He paid off his grandpa's dowry to who? I don't even know.
Sure.
Grandpa's wife's, like grandma's parents,
Yeah.
have been dead.
They're
for
dead
30,
too.
40 years. Who's he paying it to?
Yeah.
So cultural. You can't not do it. Like it's obligatory.
Okay. At some point, it's like the woman I've got these payments on is dead. It's literally a dead horse payment.
Yes.
Except it's a dead bride payment. And nobody's like, yeah, I'm not going to pay it. Go ahead, repossess her. I don't care. I'll send the keys into the bank. You can have the home.
I've gone to people and I was like, why do you pay?
Why are we continuing this?
I'm telling you, as if I personally was an alien from a spacecraft.
They look at you like, you're not going to pay the dowry?
And they're like, they start talking to each other in Swahili.
Yeah.
You're like, what is this Mzungu? What is this guy talking about?
What is he thinking?
But so the trickle down effect of all of this is everything else keeps happening, but there's no marriage.
Mm-hmm.
The entire slum is filled with single mothers.
Oh, yeah.
And they have no capacity. I mean, when you start in the slum and you're making $30 a month washing clothes and selling avocados.
Yeah.
And then you have 3 kids. I think the way out is for young men
is birth control
to be able to marry young women. The families are okay.
Really?
Well, when you have when you're a solid nuclear family
in Nairobi,
you can take care of the kids.
Okay.
Like mom is there to physically. Okay, he's not going to fall off a cliff. She's not going to drown.
Sure.
You can get to that level. Dad goes and works all day. When it's just like here, you can work your way up. Like you can get better jobs.
Okay.
You get hired by other people. The whole country isn't just like. I mean, they got an international airport.
Yeah.
You can buy a Land Rover.
Sure.
You go downtown and there's sky-rise buildings that have cybersecurity.
Yeah. Someone has a normal job where they're making,
So our architect, who was working on the land,
go ahead.
was born and raised in a place called Huruma. It's walking distance, next door, neighbor, slum type area to Mathare. Never met his dad. Has no clue who the guy even is. Grew up there, went all the way through, graduated high school. So if you got a dad that just goes, you know what, whatever it takes, is if mom is here and she can make $30 a month and keep the kids alive, I will put them through school.
Okay.
When someone does that, their kids make it. I mean, the guy's got a master's degree in architecture.
Okay.
And he grew up there.
So so number one, do the families stay together? So let's say for whatever reason, by whatever means, a man pays the dowry and it's 2 cows.
Yeah.
And he marries a girl.
Yeah.
And then they have a kid or two because they're a family. And then, okay, does that family stay together? Do they have better numbers than America?
It's hard to tell for one reason.
Okay.
Legal divorce is remarkably expensive and difficult.
Of course it is. So they just beat
You're
feet.
separated.
Yeah.
So the newest girl that we added into the program, Dad disappeared 2 years ago.
Mhm.
He was there until she turned 13. Went out west for a trip. Never showed back up. And like, do we know what happened? No.
Of course not.
Is he out there? Yeah. You sure? Oh yeah.
Really?
But but when the family stay together, like I don't know very many nuclear families with a father and a mother and kids who are in the slum. Because they make it out.
Got it. So that was my next question is, do they get out? Do things improve? They get a better job. They take care of the kids. The mom takes care of the kids. She gets a side job. They can move up and they can get into a real home with, walls and a door.
If you can get to $150 a month in income, and he's making $150 and she's making $30, that gets you into. I mean, you could rent in an apartment in a concrete building.
Got it. Okay.
And put kids in school.
So, I mean, we're talking about 6 times the income of the average person in the slums, but it's certainly doable for people that are working together to get there.
The more and more I understand about the average person in the slums, right? When you run the numbers on how many people make zero, just a guy who says, I'm going to get a job and I'm going to take care of my family is going to be making way more than $30.
So you know what's funny is the explanation that you and I are giving for poverty-stricken Kenyan slums is the exact same explanation we give for poverty in America.
Yeah.
Anybody that is saying whatever it takes can move their station in life up.
Sure. Not everybody needs to become Steve Jobs.
No.
Jeff Bezos.
I'm not LeBron James, nor am I Oprah Winfrey, nor am I, a lot of these, billionaires. Okay, but I can tell you this, my lifestyle today as a 43-year-old who has been consistently employed with within the same field for 20 years is way better than it was 20 years ago.
For sure. Absolutely.
And that seems to be the case so lo and behold, capitalism even works in the slums of Kenya.
It's a democratic country.
I don't know. I have no idea.
There's plenty of corruption. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, but the point is, capitalism works no matter if there is a corrupt government, whether there is a legitimate government, whether there's no government. The fact is, you have things you want to buy and you're willing to trade money for them. This guy over here is willing to produce those things and sell them to you. And if everyone is willing to get on board that train, lo and behold, everyone has a job and everyone's life gets better. But if you have the majority of people in one society, which in this case are the slums, on the outskirts of Kenya, and lots of people don't want to work, and the ones that do want to work don't want to support their own kids, well, then the system starts to break down.
Yes.
So keep people married.
Well, think about it this: get them married, and keep them married. I mean, I think that the cultural system is set up to discourage, particularly young. And when I'm saying younger, I'm like 25.
Wow.
I know guys that are well into their 30s who are saving for a dowry.
Oh my soul!
They're not even dating anyone yet.
Why bother?
You
I don't
can't
have
pay
the
it.
money.
You got to save for a dowry first. Get rid of all that. The fatherlessness is
Crippling the country.
It's crippled. It is remarkable.
Yeah.
And crippling. There's always substance abuse.
Sure.
They've got everything.
Yeah. They have the same things we do. It ruins.
So here's
lives.
the pull at the heartstrings thing, right? Most of the girls that we have, let me just put it this way. Well, there's actually a piece of information I'm trying to protect here.
Okay.
And so I'm trying to think of how to say this without. They work enough to make somewhere in the neighborhood of anywhere from $8 to $30 a month, depending on what the family situation is.
Okay.
So in my mind as a dad, I started thinking of it this way. So what you're telling me is if your dad was there, you lived in the same place with the same expenses, plus increased food.
Yeah.
If he made $8 a month, you wouldn't have to prostitute yourself. And they're like, well, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the math. That's how it works out.
Well, how much is a dollar? I convert it to shillings, but they'd be like, yeah, that's the case.
That's insane.
$1 a week is the sort of the U.S. equivalent is the lowest amount that I've heard from someone. It's like, this is what I need to do to find $1 a week so that I can pay for my test in school so that I could try to graduate 8th grade. $1 a week.
Zach, it does not surprise me. I mean, it really doesn't. What breaks my heart is when I think of the amount of money that gets wasted just in my circles of friends.
Yeah.
My friends, my family, my coworkers, and I think to myself, there's enough money in this valley. This valley made up of 3 cities, about 100,000 people. There's enough money in this valley to change that entire country.
Oh, yeah.
That's complete excess. We probably wouldn't even notice it if it was gone. Like it wouldn't do anything to me.
Change.
No. I could affect 20 families and I probably wouldn't even miss the money. And that's one person.
And this goes back to the second part with
$1 a week. So $20 a week. So just barely over $1,000 a year. I could affect.
When you pay for school fees. So Moses's program is to pay for school fees. Yeah. You're still in the same living situations, but an American or an Englishman or a Canadian or whatever.
Just not bring up Canadians again. Okay. Go ahead. What are we doing here?
They sponsor a child, right? So for primary school, 1st grade through 8th grade, I think it's $30 a month for all of those years. Takes a kid from 1st grade through 8th grade. That's school fees. Now, if you have a family who can pay the school fees, but they can't pay for the extra test, or they can't pay for the textbook, or they can't, whatever it is, then you're starting to talk about $4 or $5 here or there
extra.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah,
to change the life.
She can now take the test that allows her to start high school.
Yep.
Yeah. So, how are you going to homeschool?
Oh, it's impossible when you're in that level of.
You have no education.
No.
You have no support.
No.
You have no. Yeah.
I mean, I understand that homeschooling in America only works when you have one parent that makes enough money to support the household.
Yes.
That's why a lot of people don't even consider it. Now, let's face it, in America, people just like money. Okay. So, I mean, there's plenty of families that could homeschool and think it's better, but they're not willing to give up that whatever extra, extra, income and money. But it's impossible in a state like that where you're dealing with such a level of poverty that every shilling is weighed out like, well, what are we doing this with? Are we buying bread, or we, or how am I going to get that extra PS4 controller that just broke? What am I going to do? I gotta save up for that. Just to try to make it relatable, to our audience.
Sure. So then you start thinking like the prices.
Yeah.
It's $5.50 for a gallon of fuel. We bought 2 acres of land outside of the city in an undeveloped neighborhood.
Wonderful.
$120,000.
Yeah.
Like the prices are different, but it's not. If someone from that neighborhood walked to a restaurant in that neighborhood, they would pay $4 for lunch.
Wow.
And so you could spend.
Yeah.
What is that? That's 12-15% of your monthly allowance on a meal at a restaurant.
Oh yeah, it's insanity.
You've never eaten there.
No.
So, but fatherlessness, I think, is if it's like, Zach, snap your fingers one thing changes.
Yeah, that would be a big one.
Dads in houses,
because that would give them the ability and the opportunity to move up and out of that.
Yes.
Whether they do it or not, well, we can't make everyone stay together and work hard and all these things. But what we're saying is we don't see nuclear families in the slums because they get out. Because any mom and dad that love each other and love their kids are like, yeah, this is not the goal. This is where we are. This is the starting point. The goal is getting the heck out of the slums.
And even, like I said, even if it's just I can pay for all my kids to go to school and we live in the concrete apartment.
Yeah.
With the iron door that locks.
Yeah. It's still way safer.
Oh.
The amount of drug addiction, the sanitation, all the different things that you don't have to deal with because you got out of, it's an amazing step up.
Yep. Moving that one step would change the entire place.
Yeah.
So that's one. One of the things we've been working on really, really hard because we're taking girls out of their family. Now, it's a positive for the girls.
Yeah, but it hurts the family.
It hurts the family.
Because it's one less dollar every so often.
They're all working.
Sure.
So what we're doing is now we are focused. We have our mission. We know what we're up to. We don't have the capacity to do a lot of help for the families. So one of our big deals on this trip was to re-solidify and find some new ministries and other organizations in Nairobi that we could use as support for the family. So
what's over there?
The place is full. Now, do they have any money?
Of course not.
No.
So what is it?
So think of it this way.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's say you're a 17-year-old boy. We take your 15-year-old girl into the program.
Okay.
Now you're a 17-year-old boy. You got an 8-year-old brother. Girl goes off. She's living in a house. She's going to go to a boarding school.
Yeah.
Who knows what? 17-year-old boy who doesn't have a job.
Why not? Can he work?
Oh, yeah. Could. Now, every situation is a little bit different.
No, I get it. But I'm just trying to figure out, are there jobs? Can people go and earn money who want to and have a strong back?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They build roads. Now, are there enough jobs? No.
Okay.
There aren't. It's not like here where it's like people are begging for somebody to come open their coffee shop.
Yeah. We need
to do it.
We need people to work, and we have jobs.
There are less jobs than there are people.
Okay.
That is
a problem.
That is a problem for sure. But if you're 17 years old and you can dig a hole, there's
someone's going to give you a shovel.
You can find something to do. Where can he get a meal once a day
Mm-hmm.
so that he can get through school. Here's a ministry.
Okay.
Like ministries can have enough money to have a facility, buy food, and feed people
All right.
that aren't able to feed themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You eat, you can pass a test,
Mm-hmm.
you move on. We have a ministry there that has a program that helps single mothers,
Mm-hmm.
that trains single mothers to start their own business. And that could literally be a wheelbarrow full of avocados in front of the house
Sure.
that they sell for 3 cents a piece.
Yeah.
But that's a whole lot better than sitting in the house with nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And so they have a training process that they work people through, teach them how to save money, teach them how to make a little bit of money,
Mm-hmm.
teach them how to run businesses that they can run while they're watching the kids.
Yeah.
And so we have a ministry that we've hooked up to help with that. We have a ministry where it's kind of an art camp,
Mm-hmm.
painting, drawing, dancing.
Mm-hmm.
But the school system it's year round,
Mm-hmm.
3 months of school, 1 month off, 3 months in, 1 month off.
Mm-hmm.
So January, February, March, everybody's in school. April, they're out.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing continues. You get to December, the year's over. You have December off. You take your break. You start the next year in January. So during those months where people aren't in school, they run daily, like youth programs,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just try to get somebody connected with people who are dancing instead of drinking.
Sure.
I'm just anything like that.
Yeah.
And so somebody comes back and they're like, hey, I'm worried about my brother. When he's home from school, they don't do anything. Like, I don't care if he's 14 years old. Go get a coloring book. Find somebody else
Mm-hmm.
to be with who does something that's not huffing glue out of a plastic bottle.
Yeah.
And so we get hooked up with all these different ministries that have capacity to do things that we don't.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the major deals on this trip. And then the land. I am super, super encouraged that we will be able to sell water
Really?
from the borehole.
The well's that good.
We don't know for sure yet.
Yeah.
But even if we need to treat it,
Yeah.
I am 100% for starting a business.
Oh, yeah.
That has income.
Yeah.
From the property.
Oh, my soul. Could you
for
imagine?
the girls. Game changer.
Let me ask you a quick question.
Yeah.
Is there any government oversight, like in America, that's going to slow you down or give you a problem? Or because of where you are, they're like, whatever. We don't even look at those people.
So,
like, does someone come by the lady's house and is like, hey, how many avocados did you sell?
oh,
Okay.
so inside the slum,
it's just a free for all.
I've never seen a police officer.
Okay.
Inside of that slum,
Yeah,
is where I saw the guy that got stoned.
Yeah. There's mob rule, mob justice. Just
stole a cell phone.
Yeah.
Got caught.
Mm-hmm.
Rocks.
Yep.
I mean, straight up Bible times.
Yeah.
Hit the guy with rocks until he died. Laid him there for a day.
Yep.
Brought their kids.
Yep. Okay, everyone. Check.
4-year-old kid.
Sure.
That's what happens when you steal.
Yep.
And then they walk him back to the shack.
There you go. Lesson learned.
So inside the slum,
Mm-hmm.
the police are only there to get a bribe, cause some trouble. They see white guys driving in a van.
Yeah. Yep. Pull it over.
I kid you not.
Yeah.
We're driving 40 miles an hour one day.
Yeah.
Down a paved road.
Yeah.
I mean,
nothing.
just Google pictures of Nairobi.
Sure.
You're like, beautiful pictures of Nairobi city center.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell it from anything in the U.S.
Okay.
It looks exactly the same.
Got it.
We're driving down the road, 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
There's no police in cars. They're standing on the side of the road.
Uh-huh.
He waves us over.
Uh-huh.
We pull over. He said that our tires didn't have enough tread on them.
Yep. Can't have that.
And he's seeing this from 40 miles an hour as we're driving down the.
Yeah.
He saw Darren sitting in the front seat.
Yeah.
Is what he saw.
Oh, yeah.
He wanted like $12.
Yeah.
Moses is great. No. Well, we're gonna have to arrest you.
Yep.
Okay.
Arrest us.
Take him to jail.
Yep.
He's been arrested so many times for not paying. Now, on our end, so for the on the Kenyan end,
yeah,
if you're selling avocados out of what do they care?
Yeah.
There's thousands of people doing that. There's no money there.
Yeah, there's no money to be made.
So for our end, like buying the property, drilling a well, building a
somebody has real money behind this project.
Yes. So is it slow? That's the first part of the question. Yes. It is irritatingly slow.
Okay.
Do they give us trouble? No. Because we're paying them US dollars.
Sure.
We get bids.
Yeah.
I talked to 3 guys about drilling the well. I talked to a guy from Louisiana who drilled wells in Louisiana for 30 years.
Yeah.
And then moved to Kenya. He's been there for 10 years. He gave me the same price. He retired.
Okay.
And he's like, I'm gonna drill. These people have no water.
Okay.
I'm gonna go drill.
Sure.
He gave me the same price as the Kenyan company.
Okay.
When you start getting enough information, it's like,
well, that's what competitive price is.
We're here. We send Moses and our architect to go do the deals. So when you pay US dollars, they'll get it done. They'll get it done for you. But it's so here's the line. And I hadn't heard this one before that I remember until this trip. It said Americans have a watch, but no time. Kenyans have time, but no watch. So, like, oh yeah, we'll be done Wednesday. You guys can watch us poke the hole. Yeah. Well,
they have no calendar or watch.
I've been out of the country for 2 weeks. They still haven't drilled any.
I don't know when Wednesday is.
Right. So is it slow? Yes. But if you pay US dollars,
it's gonna happen.
And you do it right, it'll happen. They move you through. So that they are happy to have somebody buy land.
Sure.
Drill a well.
Yeah.
There's one well with this. If you start at our borehole, and you draw a 2-kilometer radius, circle, there is one other water source, inside of that circle.
Within a mile,
yes,
or
very
close to a mile
radius,
yeah.
Start at that spot where you walk a mile in any direction. There's one other well.
Wow.
So they're happy to have
someone come
water.
And improve the land and do something.
Are you going to grow something?
Sure.
Yeah. Trees.
Yeah.
So you can make things happen. The government doesn't really jerk us around, I wouldn't say, but it is like, and they'll always say, no matter what, oh yeah, no problem, tomorrow. We got it. And like tomorrow is August 3rd, and you're just like still waiting. But we know that. That's just the
going in.
That is literally just, that is the culture. That's, hey, where are you at? We have a meeting at 1. It's 1:00. On my way. I'll be there in 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it could be an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Like the guy's still at home.
Yeah.
You just got to drive through a traffic jam.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, I'll be there in 5 minutes. It's just the way they communicate. So, but the well, I'm really, really, we've done all the permitting. We've paid the amount that we need to pay to get the work started. We have $7,000 left to pay at completion. So permitting is all in. Waiting for final go ahead to pull the trucks onto the land. They've got the spots. We've done hydro surveys. They know where they're going to drill it. They're going to drill it. We'll see what's down there. Drop in a pump, 24-hour test. So if you're hooked up to city water and you only have it 1 or 2 days a week,
sure,
and you don't know which ones those are going to be, the entire country is covered with these drums, barrels,
Yeah.
And like I said, anywhere from 1,000 to like 2,500 gallons or so on top of a house, in the driveway, like wherever you can put it.
Sure.
And they're pumping water into the house. So they have tankers, like these trucks will pull up at a well.
Mm-hmm.
You fill the truck.
Mm-hmm.
The truck drives into town to wherever the tank is at somebody's house. They pump it from the truck into the tank.
Yeah.
And so you got their shillings to change hands all along the way there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is selling water, and so it's not super expensive. Like you got to move a lot of it to make some money.
Yeah, but still, it's a commodity that's needed, obviously.
So one 10,000 liter truck is close to the average monthly income is $35.
Okay.
Average monthly income for a person in Mathare.
Yeah.
So if we could fill one truck a month, we would. If you fill 2 a day, the area that we're in is outside of the city. It's undeveloped. It's developing, but currently undeveloped. It's dry. We could sell to a nearby city. We could be mutually beneficial by providing water for the community at half the price that it's currently provided at, and make profit. She has a name. We have 2 girls that are getting ready to graduate from college. For the first 2 to go all the way through school and then graduate from college. They both have business degrees. I'm trying to talk these girls into starting a water empire.
Sure.
Like whatever it takes.
Well, and I mean, really, if that's what you need, like, can we build a well and build a wall around it? And like, that's our new business over there.
Oh yeah.
So
I've been kicking this around a little bit, not necessarily personally, but what I've really been working on it for the girls. There are some tricks to being an American that runs a business in Kenya. That makes things a little bit more difficult.
Sure.
But if the Kenyans were to, if the Kenyans were to operate a business out of Kenya.
No, that's what I mean.
Make Kenyan children. So, I think about 1,000 truckfuls of water is enough to buy a smaller plot of land. Because we bought this is the house. This is the home.
Sure.
This is where we're going to plant our feet for quite a while.
Yeah.
So selling water out of this particular well wasn't even really on the radar when we're working toward this plan. Yeah. You can buy a smaller plot of land that you could drill on. $35,000 buys you the land and the well. Another 30 would be plenty. 20 to build a wall around it, perimeter wall. You employ people. I would love to see us buy some trucks.
Yeah.
Skip the middleman, drive some trucks into town. Like I think there's some real opportunity here, and we'll see. They need to poke the hole. We need to see how much comes out.
Sure.
We need to see what the quality of the water is.
Yeah.
But after that, I'll be able to make a couple of more some more accurate decisions about what we'll be able to do from there. What a lot of people do is have tens of thousands of liter, either an underground tank or almost literally a water tower.
Yeah.
Like we would think of. And there's a ladder. You go up there and it holds 84,000 liters. A truck pulls up underneath it and you gravity feed water until the tank's full. You turn it off. You make a payment. Truck goes in.
Yeah.
That's one of the primary ways that water is moved around the country. And so
more so than piping, more so than trenches and pipes.
If I showed you now again in downtown, like in the city, you can go to 15-minute drive from Mathare, where you're talking literally like poop on a plastic bag
Yeah.
when you come out the door.
Yeah.
15 minutes into town, you show up at the mall. It's $10 to watch a movie. They've got the latest. Like you go watch Barbie.
Yeah.
You go to the Java House.
Mm-hmm.
It's $3 for a cup of coffee,
Mm-hmm.
and it's $10 for fish and chips.
Yeah.
And then you go down and you buy a $82 pair of boots.
Yeah.
And Mathari is right over there.
Wow.
It is. If you really want to see what it's like to not have a middle class,
Yeah.
I'll show you.
Yeah.
I will show you. You own a car and drive it and make $60,000 a year,
Mm-hmm.
or you make like
$30 a month,
$500 a year.
Yeah.
And live in it's 4 branches buried into the ground, sheet metal nailed to all 4 sides of the top.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It rains.
Mm-hmm.
The inside of your house is wet.
Sure.
Sorry.
Wow.
And it literally there are places where it's like those 2 people are separated by a highway.
No way.
Oh yeah. I can show you.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Why aren't people in Kenya that have the means helping people in their own country?
Here we go.
Well, that has to be a question someone is asking.
Oh yes. So there are people who are.
Mm-hmm.
Just like everywhere, why aren't there people in Grand Junction who are helping make Grand Junction better?
Sure.
When you get comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
it's real nice to be comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
The first year we went, we didn't know anybody there. We stayed at a woman's house who was awesome. She was great. Her late husband was an American missionary.
Okay.
Her father was a pastor at a little tiny mountain town up outside of the city. Poor, really awesome place though.
Okay.
Her nephew drove us. There was only 4 of us on that first trip.
Mm-hmm.
Her nephew drove us around town. So we had 12 places that we were going to visit. Orphanages, slums, schools. We were trying to figure out, like, how does this place work?
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to do? He told us at the end of that trip, so I've lived in this city for my entire life. He was in his mid-20s. I've lived in this city for my entire life. I've never seen any of the places that I drove you to.
No way.
None of them. Now, some people think that Nairobi is close to 8 or 9 million as a population. And so if you grew up in a decent spot, you went through college, you got a job, like, it's not like, hey, it's Saturday night, let's run down to the slum and see what's going on.
Sure.
Like, those are the places you're taught to stay out of.
Yeah.
So you don't go look.
I mean, it's so shocking because when I think of poverty in America, the only places that match your description, are places in larger cities where substance abuse is so over the top that people are willing to live in a state of homelessness and live out on the street as a bum in order to continue their lifestyle.
Yes.
But nobody is living in that state trying to make a go of it and just can't seem to break out of it.
Oh, man. So government programs. What is it? Is it SSI?
Yeah, sure. It's a social security form of social security.
Yeah, and like they'll send your check to the library, and you can go down and zero.
Yeah,
I mean, nothing like that.
There's no support of any form.
I mean, are there Kenyans who? Yeah, there are awesome Kenyans who are there who are doing everything they can possibly think of to help people out.
Yeah.
Mathare is, most people's guess is somewhere around 500,000
Mhm.
people total. It's not even the largest slum in Nairobi.
Mm.
Kibera. If you want to have a little bit of fun, look up Kibera and Barack Obama. Kibera.
Is his family still living there? Has he decided to help out at all?
I think he did once tell a joke about how
He said something about how his brother is living in the slums of Kenya, or his uncle or his cousin or something like that. And someone was like, why don't you help him? You're the one with $100 million. Like,
yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like, what's he doing living in a shack in Kenya when his, relative was the president of the United States? Oh, my soul.
So that's Kibera. Their guess is that's over 1 million people
in the slum,
in that particular slum. I mean, they're sort of dotted, in different places in the city for geographical reasons and all kinds of things that's not worth getting into. But are there people who are helping? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it's easier. Like, this is going to be awful for radio, but Mathare, if you do happen to decide to want to look at it on a map,
okay,
Mathare is actually situated, when you look on Google Maps, in between a place called Moi Air Force Base. So it's the National Air Force Base, is right in the city. If you type in MOI, Air Force Base. So, and you'll see a big sort of open area kind of in the eastern, sort of northeastern part of the city. Big open area there. So that's the Air Force Base.
Okay.
And there's a place called Juja Road, Juga, just right on the north edge of that.
Okay.
You go north of Juja Road, that's Mathare.
Okay.
All those little gray dots, right? Then you go just a little bit northwest of there. You cross Thika Road, Thika, which is a major highway. You see what's there? It's a golf course. So country club. So you go country club, super highway.
Yeah.
Destitute slum. And then across the road from that, National Air Force Base. So there's one other thing, though, that's in between the golf course and the super highway and Mathare. The slum sits down in the valley.
Okay.
It originally was a quarry. And then it became a city dump. So it sits down in the valley. So on the side of the superhighway there, if you build a 10-foot concrete wall, you can't see Mathare from the golf course.
No way.
No, you can't see it.
Yep. Mathare Golf Club. Wow.
That's something. And so, yeah, I mean, guys are paying, I don't know. It's a golf course. They don't have to water it quite the same. Because
there's a river that runs through Mathare.
Mathare River.
The Mathare River. Is that, you go wading out in that? Is that? Oh, man.
Things move downhill.
Yeah, they do.
So, yeah. Now, they do make this stuff called changa. It's the moonshine.
Yeah.
And they'll make it down by the river there. And you can fly a rocket to the moon on that stuff.
Dude, there is like not even, there's not even like space to walk between. There's like literally space for like two people to walk shoulder to shoulder in between, the front doors of these buildings. And that's just the ones that you can see. Yeah. So those are the concrete buildings. That's when you move down past the river toward the other side. Yeah. Those are all shacks. Yeah. So, and the top of those shacks, there'll be 20 houses in there. Yeah. Under those shacks. Wow. 20 bucks a month rent, somewhere in there. There's landowners, like people own all that land, and you can go build a shack there and pay rent. I just have a feeling that there's not going to be a street view for some of these places.
No, there's not.
Google Maps didn't send their car down there.
It's
Wow.
It's an amazing thing. But so
that's across the street.
That's
north.
Yes. So that is a public toilet.
Oh, really? Wow. Dude.
Now you got to pay.
Yeah.
To use it.
Wow. So that would be a house.
Well, that's a pretty decent place.
Yeah. And again, that's outside of the slum. That's north of that in an area that you can see. That's not in the slum.
Right.
Yeah, the slum is to the south of that. I tried to find a place where Google Maps did have a car that went by. I mean, they have, yeah. Wow. So if you turn to the south, that's what you see. That's the street view to the south.
So that's actually cleaned up a little bit. There's some trash there, but those. So the tall ones are concrete buildings. Everything is made out of concrete. Everything. Now the nice part about that is you have a flat top roof.
Yeah.
So when it rains, you just push the water down the stairs, down the staircase, out the front door.
No way.
Yeah. I was in an Airbnb. Get this. We were staying at an Airbnb because the girl's current house, every time we move them further away from the slum.
Okay.
Harder to access anything from the old life.
Sure. Harder to go back.
So in that part of the neighborhood, we actually stayed in an Airbnb for a little bit. The first night we were there, there's water on the ground floor. You have to turn on a pump to pump it up to the second floor so you can get a shower. We turn on the pump, the hose blows off of it.
Okay. Water's just,
I mean, gallons.
Yeah.
Through the wall.
Yeah.
All concrete.
Sure.
We call the guy up. I mean, I turn the pump off and it's still I'll be there in a minute. He comes. It's like, so we had to leave. We're going to the girl's place for a meeting. How long are you going to be gone? We can't come back. The second floor is flooded.
Yeah.
How are we going to? He's like, no. When are you thinking about? We're just going to do the laundry. When do you think about being back? Like, tonight?
Yeah.
Gallons of water.
Yeah.
Second story, through the roof.
Sure.
Through a wall.
Yeah.
All concrete.
Yeah.
You got up on the roof. Reattached the hose to the pump. Clamped it back down. Tested it. We're good.
Water's back on. Just
squeegee the water out the front door.
Yeah.
It's all concrete.
Yep. Wow.
The whole, but that was a nice place. And, it's a different world. But anyway, we're always looking to add girls, as many as we can financially and have space for. So the girls, before they're in high school, they go to day school. In high school, they go to boarding school. We've actually had really.
They stay there.
They stay there
for 3 months.
3 months.
Okay.
Come back home for 1 month. We've had actually pretty good success for 3 reasons. One, we found some schools that we really like. They know how to treat the girls. They know how to keep a secret.
Okay. Is that a problem to the girl? Does that get out and the girls
find out you have
peer pressure really bad?
If you find out you have, well, some of it's just all the teenage girl stuff. But you find out how you have a bunch of U.S. supporters. Like for the girls in our program, like I could tell them, there's 350 people who've contributed to your educational process. So that can be trouble for the girls. Girls in boarding school who have been sent there by their Kenyan families find out that a girl is there, missed 3 years of school, is from the slum.
Yeah.
How she was found.
They put the dots together.
Oh, man. And they are ruthless.
Really?
So we've got some places
just bullying the girls.
Oh, and so teachers keep some secrets for us, and it's been helpful.
Oh yeah.
There are a couple of places where Kenya is it's a mile wide and an inch deep doctrinally and theologically.
Sure.
But the schools, although they're not free, they're also not government run. They the tests that you have to pass to make sure you can move on are government issued. There's definitely government oversight. I'm sure they get any kind of money that is moving around from place to place. But the boarding schools that we have the girls in, they all have a Bible class. Like they got an hour a day of like Sunday school.
Wow.
6 days a week. And
That's
then
great.
chapel on Sunday.
Yeah.
So
is it pretty straightforward, doctrinally basic Bible stuff, or do they get off into the weeds and start?
When you've got people for 4 years,
Yeah.
It's pretty straightforward. Nobody takes any risks. I don't think it's particularly deep either, but
it's better than what kids in public school in America get.
It's not nothing. It's not. I mean, they are literally like you can get the class scheduled. Like, here's what we're doing in math, and here's what we're doing in English.
Yeah.
And this month is 1 Samuel. And like that's what they're doing at school.
Right.
So that's helpful. But think of it this way: you got a house mother, you got 2 house mothers, and a caseworker, and 2 8th graders living in the house. And so landlord was like, well, that's, I mean, whatever. That's, I mean, kind of an odd combination, but what do I care? They're paying the rent. Then on the off months, you have 4 more girls that show up. Like, okay, well, they're high school girls then, obviously. Like everybody, the whole country runs exactly the same.
It's the same 3-in-1 schedule.
Every school.
Okay.
So they all know what's going on. Okay, the kids are back home with us. There's more girls there. Okay, well, that's weird. Then, for 1 week a year,
a whole bunch of white people from America
show up.
Yeah.
And we're in and out of the house all day long. And then rent goes up by $200. Right? So that there's not a lot of restrictions that are helpful for us that way. So we move further and further out. Housing and financial, just money, are the 2 things that sort of restrict us on how many girls we're able to have in the program at any one time.
Sure.
So building the house on the property is going to help us out with both of those.
Oh, yeah.
We did some math. I'm fond of saying we're not in the business of saving money. We're in the business of saving girls. And so to buy the land, to drill the well, to build the structures on the land is going to cost them money. But we're actually going to, the cost per girl is going to be cut by about 25% once you're completed. Once we get the first house built. Now, 25%, it's about $1,500 per girl.
Yeah.
Per year.
Oh, that adds up.
Adds up real fast.
Yeah.
So I'm actually pretty hopeful about the future. The near-term future is drill the well, get it rolling, build a concrete block around that thing so nobody can come and steal it, build the wall, and then once the wall is up, we can break ground. We're going to build a series of homes.
Blythe was saying you changed the plan a little bit.
Yeah. It was going to be one big old place.
Yeah.
It was so funny. She was buying vitamins for the girls before this last trip. She's taking over these vitamins. Okay. I don't have a lot of work with the hands-on day-to-day. Like Blythe is talking with the girls. We've got another young lady named Tennille who's like, she's discipling the girls. She's on the phone for an hour and all that stuff. I'm not involved in that stuff as much. So Blythe is buying these vitamins. And she just stops. And 1,000-yard stare, she's all glazed over. Blythe, what are you? We can't put all those girls in one house. Like, well, yeah, I know you can. High school girls, there's only 30 of them.
Sure.
But it dawned on her, like, she's trying to buy all these vitamins to try to, like, regulate their moods. Vitamins for 30 girls. So each individual house will have more like 8 to 12.
Yeah.
which is very comparable to what we have right now.
Okay.
So one small house
Mm-hmm.
plus a dining area is going to be enough to move the entire current program onto the property.
And then you can replicate that and build
We can
2 or 3 more.
Yep, we build more houses from there. So
Mhm.
that will allow us to get on the property much faster, as well as having a little bit more space.
Yeah.
A little bit more privacy. Not that from the slum you don't even know what that is,
Oh, yeah.
but just to be able to have some place to sit and study
Yeah.
for a minute is helpful. So I could go for days, man, but
So that's the newest update.
newest update. Well, we do have one new girl. Always exciting. Difficult family situation. They all have them, but we've got her mother is employed. Her older brother is having some problems. We've got him hooked up with some help already. She is thriving, finishing 8th grade, so
Mhm.
she'll get done with that. We got to have the well done by October 1st.
Mhm.
Start to put a wall up after that. Gonna have a golf tournament out at Adobe Creek on the 14th of October.
Good for you.
You and the boys want to man a couple of teams?
So thank you, everyone, for joining us on the Bible Thumper podcast.
No, I've been talking to Scott. We're excited. We got it all figured out.
Good.
So, super thankful for your help from last year.
I'm glad I got the ball rolling.
No, that was really successful and really fun.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. I think I got that all under control. But yeah, that's the near term. We haven't really decided whether or not she's going to go back in December.
Mm-hmm.
November, December is a good time to catch the girls at home.
Let me ask you, you said on this last trip there were 12 of you?
12.
Are that many people helpful, or is it also part of giving people from America an experience with foreign missions?
So,
like, how many of those 12 were babysitting and how many of them were like helpful workers?
Thank God.
Mm-hmm.
On this particular trip, I didn't do any babysitting.
Okay.
Now,
as the executive director, I wouldn't expect you to.
Oh, right. Yeah. Like I'm above it or something.
That's beyond.
Oh, yeah. Now, I did plenty of coordinating, but we actually had an entire family of 6 that went. And so they were remarkable. Now, you're definitely right in that, particularly for the program, and we're upfront with people about this. All 12 people who were there supplied strength to the program because they were there.
Great.
All 12 of them experienced things that had nothing at all to do with the program that were for their benefit.
Yeah.
So one nice thing about experience is that we've struggled through a lot of those things already.
Yeah.
And so we know we do make people commit early to be able to go. Like, I kind of need to know by February, March,
if you're going to go
you're
next
going to be
summer
on a plane in July.
Yeah.
Because that gives me time, if it's somebody that I don't know, that gives me time to meet them, figure out what they're good at, develop a plan for how they can help.
So this being the close to the end of August, I can just let you know with 6 months notice, I will not be going this next summer.
I'm going to have your name penciled on.
Do you know how many times Blythe has brought up, she wants me to go just so she can see me there and laugh at me?
Yeah, like it would be an experience for her.
Yeah. She's like, Patrick, your head would explode.
Just the driving.
Yeah.
If you have difficulty with people not paying attention while they're driving.
Yeah.
Here?
Yeah.
Now everybody's paying attention, but it's because you will die if you are not.
See, the driving doesn't bother me. I grew up driving in New York City.
That's true.
And I've driven in Mexico.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, no, that wouldn't bother me. I think I think what Blythe was implying was that I have a way that I do things and I expect things to get done. Like, I know how to solve problems. Throw a pile of money at it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we can get stuff done.
Oh,
you know,
yes.
in construction, it's like I've seen people throw a pile of money at a problem. It's like, guess what? Things happen.
Yeah. It went away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in Kenya, that's not necessarily gonna make it happen while you're there.
It's still true, but I just don't know how to. I haven't come up with a good way to describe how the mentality of a group of people in an entire country could be so different. Efficiency is like you don't even think about I've never even heard anyone talk about it. That's not even not only is it not a goal, it's not even a
concept we understand. So not a lot of talk about synergy.
Consistency, and this is what I told one of the guys. One of the guys that was with us, he's an awesome guy, but he gets things done.
Go getter.
Type A.
Yeah.
He can build a system.
Yeah.
If you run the system, it will work.
Yeah.
And I've told him, like, one of the first days we were there. In fact, it might have even been before we went.
Yeah.
I said consistency is not a value in this country. And that you can see that everywhere. You can have the same person drive the same car to come pick you up at the same location on 3 different days.
Yeah.
And even though no one else is parked anywhere, they will, like, one time they'll park at the gas station, and one time they'll park in the parking lot that's 4 cars over, and another time they'll call you and tell you they're going to be there in 5 minutes. And then when they call, they're like, but they're actually a block or 2 over. And then they come in and they pull in backwards to the parking lot that they're in, but too close to the next guy to them, so you can't get in the car for no apparent reason at all. And just the idea, things that we teach ourselves all the time. Consistency, just no value at all. What's this about? Just because I harassed him a little bit the other night while he was sitting in his car. But so it is.
For someone that's used to being a type A person, getting things accomplished, putting a system in place, working hard and making things happen.
They have a system.
Yeah.
But it is so inconsistent and ineffective that we look at it and we're like,
there's no system there.
Like, I could make that
the system
better.
Is chaos.
Like, in 3 minutes, I could change this entire place.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, you could, but they don't know what you're talking about. So it's a whole different culture.
Yeah.
It's a whole different way of living life.
I love our talks once every year about Kenya.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Now, if there is a way for me to go over there and kill a whole bunch of animals that live in the country,
I know a guy,
in order to help the ministry, I would be willing to do that.
That's one I haven't thought about yet.
Well,
I know a guy who's done Big 5.
Okay. And I mean, for me, it's like, if I'm going to go to Kenya, I'm going to pay someone to drive me around in an air-conditioned Range Rover and shoot animals.
Like, there's a lot. Man. Sure.
You got it.
Yeah, there are ways to make it. Anything can happen in Kenya.
Yeah.
Anything. You just got to figure out who to pay the money to.
Yeah.
And you can make it happen. But yeah, there's all kinds of when you go to the airport,
hmm
it looks like DIA.
No kidding.
I mean, they've changed a lot over the last 10 years.
Mhm.
There was actually a fire there, but they've rebuilt a bunch of stuff, and you're like, I mean, it's a pretty decent place.
Yeah.
But it's almost entirely white people.
hmm
And
At
then,
the Kenyan airport.
oh yeah, people are flying in for safaris. So think about this: the bordering country to the east is Somalia.
hmm Beautiful pirates.
Yeah. The bordering country to the northwest is South Sudan.
hmm
Two of the three most corrupt
Gotta
places
say,
on the planet Earth.
some of the greatest places to get your head cut off.
Kenya is a former British colony.
Mhm.
It is friendly to the West.
Mhm.
They speak English as a primary language.
They are not a fan of homosexuals.
Not at all. And
I've
so,
heard those laws.
major international hub airport of all of East Africa.
Yeah.
So if it's like, where's the easiest place that I can fly in
And
and
then
drive
get
an
a
air
connecting
conditioned,
flight or get a vehicle to
Yep.
drive to
air
wherever.
conditioned,
Nairobi.
Land cruiser
Yeah.
to the city, and see a giraffe.
Yeah.
Nairobi is your spot.
No kidding.
So tourists in
Mhm.
and out of there constantly.
Mm.
As soon as you drive out of the airport, you take the right hand turn toward Mathare.
Yeah. Totally
It's
different. world.
canyons everywhere, and
Yeah.
that is it.
Yeah.
We're the only international team
Yeah.
that stays in Moses' facility,
Huh.
like sleeps the night there.
Yeah.
He has a bunch of teams that go and stay in a hotel and drive in for part of the day and
Sure.
we'll
Yeah.
work with the kids.
Oh,
and
yeah. Yeah.
They'll be in daycare for a minute.
Yeah. I would be happy doing the celebrity politician type 5-star hotel in Nairobi, take a limo into the slums with my Frappuccino
Oh yeah.
and snap a picture with the kids and then get
Oh,
back on
sure,
a plane
sure,
and put it
absolutely.
on Instagram. I could see myself doing that. I think I could.
Put it on Instagram. Look what
Yeah,
else
yeah,
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, hashtag charity.
Somebody's got to say it. Hey, it happens all the
Oh, my
time,
soul.
man, all the time. But yeah, no, it's a cool place. They do have some. They've got. I'll tell you one of the biggest problems.
Yeah.
They grow some of the best coffee in the entire world.
Get out of here.
Oh, the elevation,
Mhm.
the soil,
Mhm.
super red.
Yeah.
I mean, it is an amazing. The Rift Valley,
Mhm.
it is some of the best places I've ever seen on the planet.
Really?
So you go up the mountain a ways.
Mhm.
You got to get to a certain elevation.
Mhm.
Amazing coffee, but they export all of it.
Sure.
Well, somebody's paying money. Like, I'm paying money for it.
Yeah. So why would we sell it here?
So
when
they
we
don't
can-
drink any.
Yeah. We can sell it for top dollar to someone in America or someone in,
Sure.
Western Europe.
So they don't drink any coffee.
Really?
So it's like you can't in the slum.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
They've got chai and they got this tea stuff that they have, but you can't. You got to go into town to find a cup of coffee. So we bring stuff with us.
I was going to say, you
Yeah.
just bring your own.
Yeah.
Bring your instant coffee.
Bring in some coffee
Yep.
with us.
Hot water.
Boil a pot of water.
There you go. Good
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
It'll get me by.
But yeah, we it's so next summer will be 10 year anniversary of sort of the inception, like the idea, and then the first trip where we went to Kenya and said, this is what we want to try to do.
Yeah.
So next summer is 10 years from that point. She was in high school.
Wow.
So we got some plans working up toward then, but it's a crazy place.
Yeah.
People that are trying.
Go ahead.
Well,
I was just going to ask a question, but it's not important.
Well,
I'll bring it up.
Yeah, the only other thing I wanted to add is because of the nature of the work
Mhm.
and because of the position the girls are coming from,
Mhm.
one of the coolest things is we don't have a spiritual maturity, or like they don't have to be saved
Mhm.
to join the program.
Yeah.
And so we have girls who are being saved and
Oh, yeah.
baptized
Yeah.
while they're in the program.
Sure.
Which
As
is
it's
a
moving
ton
on.
of fun.
Sure.
That is the best.
Yeah.
That is the best.
So let me ask you this. Have you ever had a videographer go over with you and document?
We have had several.
Uh-huh.
And so one of the deals there is we always like to get new footage every year.
Sure.
Because everything changes so fast.
Oh, yeah.
But we have had a couple of professional things done. They were the most professional thing that we had done was several years back.
Mhm.
And that one was actually super unfortunate because he was a guy that was actually working in part of the Baptist world
Mhm.
in Denver with some of the Colorado Southern Baptist
Mhm.
convention.
Mhm.
He was scheduled to go on a trip with us in January of, I don't even remember what year it was, 5 or 6 years ago at least. And he was flying out of he was somewhere else. I think he was flying. No, he flew west. He flew out of Denver to LA or Seattle or something, and then flew over. We were supposed to fly from Denver and go east
Mhm.
to Boston, and there was a huge snowstorm, closed down everything,
Mhm.
and we couldn't get a flight.
Mhm.
So he ended up over there,
No way.
and we never made it. So he's never been to the country before.
Oh, my soul.
Doesn't know anybody. We're like texting pictures of him to Moses.
Yeah.
This
Like,
is the
look
guy
for this guy.
at the airport, like hold up a sign. And so he shows up, has no idea what he's looking at.
Yeah.
But then he's the one that's trying to capture all this.
Document. And no one's even over there to do the work.
I'm calling him at 3 a.m., like, yeah, that's Lydia. Get her story. Remember the list of questions? Ask them to her.
Oh, my
Like,
soul.
what else are you gonna do? So we've got millions of pictures and we've got tons of video, and so we got some things that we're working on to get for the website. We're always working on another picture and another website and another this and that and the other videos to take to people. And now the other thing that's difficult, that's intense,
Mhm.
is when we're ready to add a girl.
Mhm.
It's not that hard to find them.
Sure.
But there are some places where, well, this is a Bible thumper. I can just say it.
You can say whatever you want here.
This part I can just say. There are certain places, there are certain buildings, there are certain locations in town that we can find girls where we know for sure what they've been doing.
Sure.
Because if someone finds out about the program, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I've got a 14-year-old girl," they can coach them up on what to say,
even though they're not actually in prostitution.
Absolutely.
Because if we can get someone to pay for school and take care of our daughter and help her with everything,
not a single person has a problem.
Home
lying
run.
straight to your face.
Yeah.
So
you figured out all the best places to find underage prostitutes, is what you're saying. Zach King knows where to get underage prostitutes. Just agree with the statement.
Yes.
And then we'll move on. I need a soundbite.
Okay, wait, do it again. This is for the shorts, right? I hope no one from Heart's listening. Yeah, right. They know exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's what you're out there looking for.
Yes.
Is girls in the sex trade to try to get them out of it.
So guess what I do?
Well, guess where you have to find
where the sex trade is. Now, because of the nature, because we want to try to help each individual girl so completely, we don't do like paramilitary raids. We're not dragging 300 girls out of the building
and getting them to another country where they can.
We are identifying 1, 2, 3 girls at a time, getting them a message, getting them to a position where our Kenyan staff can go have a conversation with them. Imagine interviewing is difficult enough, but you're a 14-year-old Kenyan girl.
Yeah. And you have to make a decision.
Well, and I sit down with you.
Yeah.
In a place you've never been in your own country. And I'm like, so tell me how much money you made last night.
Sure.
what are you going to say?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So you have to get the locals that are in the program that live over there to be able to approach them. And there's a process, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I sit down and I'm like, so tell me about your dad.
Sure.
What are you going to say?
Oh, yeah.
And she has no concept. Everybody knows about school fees.
Yeah.
Like, especially in the slum. But bunch of people in school have, Bob and Cindy from Alabama that are writing a check once a month.
Mhm.
And they write a little letter back and forth.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah.
Kids need to be in school. But so they're thinking to themselves, school fees.
Okay.
They have no idea. And I'm thinking in my mind, like, little girl.
Yeah.
I know you're 14 years old,
Mhm.
but if you tell me how many men have had sex with you,
Yeah.
I can change your entire life.
Your entire life, your entire future from this point forward.
See that?
Sure.
And they're not going to tell me that.
Yeah.
And so we have to have entirely other ways, but we don't take our American 21-year-old blonde girls
Sure.
at 1 o'clock in the morning to XYZ location.
Sure.
And so I do some things that
Mhm.
have some risk involved.
Yeah.
To identify some of these girls.
Yeah.
I've got a small team of guys that work with me on some of those things. There are places where you can literally, it's like a movie. You can drive down the road,
Sure.
and there's 80 women there.
Yeah.
And
you just go,
that one looks the youngest.
Sure. Let's talk. Let's have her. Yep. Here you go. Here's the money.
And it's so-and-so's phone number.
Yeah.
And call, and I can meet you at XYZ. And
yeah.
But it's rewarding. We're far enough down the line now
Mhm.
that we've seen girls completely change their life.
Oh, yeah. They've gone all the way through. They're about to graduate college. I mean, you've seen it work for so many years. It's been a decade.
And they have so many people, like, I know you're joking, but they have so many people that show up,
Mhm.
and they're there for 4 minutes, and here's $20. It's the most money they've ever seen in their life, and it's a picture and gone forever.
Huh.
When like Blythe has been, I don't even know how many times Blythe has been there.
Yeah.
I've been in Nairobi, boots on the ground, I think maybe 11 times or so.
Mhm.
So one of the girls in this last trip said, like, she was 16
Mhm.
when we found her, and she knew it was the best opportunity she would ever get.
Oh, yeah.
But it's even been, she's 23 now,
Mhm.
maybe 7 years. And she told us on this trip, like, the fact that you keep on coming back,
Yeah.
and all the people I've seen fail out,
Yeah.
and all the things that you told me were true,
Yeah. Have come to
like,
pass.
it's actually worked. And
Yeah.
here I am, like, I cannot believe that this is
Real.
I can't
that
believe
this
that this is
that
real.
there's been follow through on all the promises.
She lives in her own apartment.
Yeah.
She's weaning off. She's got a job that pays the rent at the apartment.
Mhm.
She's getting ready to graduate college. And so now we're at a point where there's girls who are toward the end.
Mhm.
Now, when girls who are toward the end
Mhm.
talk to a 14-year-old girl.
And that was one of my follow-ups was, can these girls be used to help with recruitment, for this program?
The second that the two girls who are furthest along got it and trusted it, and were in college and could see the light at the end of the tunnel, the second that they started telling the younger girls that,
Yeah.
the strength in the entire program
Just went through the roof.
through the roof.
Because now they have someone with experience, with firsthand experience, who's gone through the whole thing, and they can look back and be like, totally works.
Yeah, like let me tell you my story about
Yeah.
my aunt,
Mhm.
and like let me tell you where I started.
Yeah.
And I could sit down and tell you,
Sure.
like you said, 14 years old. It's like we're going to take care of you.
Yeah.
But and she can like, oh yeah, I went to that high school.
Mm-hmm.
You did? Yeah, 4 years.
Yep.
And that has been monumental.
Yeah.
So
you're starting to see the beginning of generational success. So that's real exciting.
It is. Love to get those girls married to a water baron.
Well, I mean, I was just thinking, there's still so many more things you are yet to see, like them get a great job offer for some amazing job, them get married, them have a family, you get to see all those things, which are going to be very exciting in the future. And hopefully, they'll want to and be able to stay involved with the program, and help it out. You'll actually be able to have an alumni, a pool of alumni, and who knows, maybe you have an endowment at some point.
There is growth potential
Yeah.
that is just enormous.
Sure.
All the way through.
Well, we are we've been here a long time.
An hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah. Someone's bothering us on Facebook Live. Let me try to kick this riffraff off.
What are you jokers talking about?
They just said, hey, that's it. I found the comment completely inappropriate. So we're just going to block her from following Bible Thumper at any point in the future.
There you go. Perfect.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, this is Zach King as a representative of She Has a Name. You can find them on shehasaname.info. Mm-hmm. And get on the website and see if you can partner up with them and be a help. And I want to thank everybody for coming out and joining us on the Bible Thumper podcast, where somebody's got to say it. We are on here almost every single Sunday night, usually very close to starting at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Central. And if you go to BibleThumperPodcast.com, you can find all of our info. You can hook up with us on our YouTube channel, our Facebook page. You can get on Spotify or Apple or Google Podcast, and you can listen to our podcast wherever you go to listen to podcasts. Please download, share, rate, subscribe. All of those things help us tremendously. Okay, so you want to hear this? I'm not even kidding. This is worth joking about. So I didn't bring this up yet. So Zach knows the story, but I'm going to bring this up in front of everybody just because it was so funny. So at church on Friday night.
Oh, yeah.
A fella who has been listening to the podcast visited our church on Friday night. Yeah. First time this has ever happened.
Yeah.
This guy just walks on in and is like, hey, Patrick. Okay, because he's seen the videos. Sure, he's been listening to us on Spotify because for his work, he's all around the country driving a lot, and he's on the road and he listens to the podcast. And he just so happened he had to be in Colorado for some work, and he's like, oh, I'm going to be near Grand Junction. I'm just going to swing on by and I'll visit them at church. I might as well.
Yeah.
Wonderful man. He and I got to hang out a bunch. We got to go get dinner that night, and the next morning we got to hang out with some of the guys from church for breakfast, and we went and played pickleball, and we just hit it off. This guy was phenomenal. I'm just disappointed he won't be able to come back too much and visit because he's only coming by here every so often because of his schedule. But we were catching up after church. I told my wife, I was like, oh, I'm going to take the car and I'm going to go get a pizza with this fella, and we're going to, chit chat and catch up, and my wife could take the kids home in the SUV. So we go out and we're sitting and having pizza, and he's asking questions about, oh, how'd you get started? And I was like, oh, how'd you hear about us? And the whole thing. And he's from a small, independent Baptist church down in Texas. He and I really hit it off, think the same, very funny, personable guy. And
good looking and the whole thing, right?
Yeah, the whole package. I mean, if he's a Bible Thumper podcast listener, he's obviously, well put together, attractive, successful young man. Yeah. But anyway, we're just having a good time, and I was explaining to him, like, one of the goals is that the podcast can one day generate some income.
Yeah.
Because if you grow your YouTube channel, if you grow your podcast, if you can get advertisers to sponsor, and you can make money. That Joe Rogan, right?
Sure.
Guy, I don't know how much money he has. I'm assuming he has $100 million. He makes a obscene amount of money.
Bazillions.
Of dollars. Okay. Well, that's from his advertisers, because hundreds of millions of people listen to his show. He's wildly successful. Advertisers are willing to pay to get in front of all these people. So he was asking me, he's like, so what do you got to do to achieve that goal? And I said, well, with YouTube, you can't even break into getting advertisers and getting monetized until you have 1,000 subscribers. And he's like, oh, that doesn't sound like that big of a deal. You got to be right there or close to that. I laughed. I was like, I have 71. Okay, my YouTube channel has 71 subscribers.
Wow.
And I was like, I can't get my mother to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Lady. You know what he says? Man, I should probably go on your YouTube channel and subscribe. I was like, dude, you're a fan. Like, you are not only a fan of the podcast, you come to our church when you live in another state because you happen to be in the area.
Right.
I was like, that's my point. So you are not even a subscriber. You're not one of the 71. Why can't I make it in this industry? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because I can't get my actual fans to go. You have to go to a website and click one button. That's what you have to do to help Patrick out with his dream. Like, I'm not even asking everyone to send me money every month. Zach, are you a subscriber? Tell the people right now, are you a subscriber?
Sure.
So you're one of the 71. I don't even know if Caleb is.
No, let me look. I don't think I am on. So I listen.
What do you listen? Do you listen on Apple because you're an Apple guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go to the Apple podcast and just be a subscriber. So when the things come out, it gives you a little notification ding.
Better look and see if anybody popped on there and hit that button.
Yeah.
During your.
Yeah. No kidding.
I wasn't ready for that. Usually I'm ready for the rant.
So yeah. So anyway, that was like the biggest, clarifying moment in my failure as a podcaster. Is like, awesome. I can't even get my actual fans to go to a website and click one button. Like, that's all it takes.
Well, it's the website that they're on already too to listen. So that's pretty good. Now, but you do what was it you were telling me that the average podcast lasts one episode?
So when you do the numbers, my podcast is actually wildly successful. Now, that is based on numbers. So let me ask you this. We're just going to keep going. Okay. It was a great outro we started, but we're just going to forget all that. So Zach, did I give you the numbers? Because I went over this for last week's message. Now, I never got to it, but in polling, less than 50% of all Christians polled, and this was in 2018, 19, 20, and 21. Four different years they did the same poll. And what they found was less than 50, or the bottom 50% of Christians read their Bible an average of 3 times or less in a year.
I was afraid you were going to say a year.
Okay, now.
So 50%.
50%. No. I think it was 4 times a year. So they read their Bible 4 times a year. Now, 1/3 of those polled said they never read their Bible. 0 times a year is that's what they do.
Wow.
Okay, so it was only 17% above that 1/3 that read their Bible 4 times in a year. So if you want to be an above average Christian in America today, you need to read your Bible 5 times a year.
A year.
That's where we are. In America, the great Christian nation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's shining some light on something.
Oh, yeah.
50% was 4 or less.
Yeah. And it was it was closer to I think it was 53, 54% were 4 times or less.
And then an additional.
No.
33.
No. 1/3.
One third.
Not 1/3 of that. So out of 54%, subtract, 21%.
Right.
Okay, so 1/3, 33%, 0. The next step up, the next 21% that we add to the third to make 54% is 4 times a year. So to be an above average Christian in America today, you need to read your Bible 5 times a year.
Go to 5.
Yeah. So just to give you an idea of what we're up against. So how easy do you think it is to be a Christian podcaster? It's a joke.
It's a joke.
Nobody wants to hear the Bible. Nobody wants to be confronted with the truth.
Sure.
Nobody dead sure wants some idiot screaming at them about how they're a moron and they have to get their life right with God. Okay, that's just, I mean, that's not, so anyway, okay, so with the statistics, that's what we were starting with. So based on statistics, my podcast is a wildly successful podcast.
Because of the episodes.
Because the statistics are so pathetic. Not because I'm actually wildly successful.
Right.
Because wildly successful for a Christian is reading your Bible 5 times a year, but nor you or I would say that makes a successful Christian. So the average podcast, which I think it was like 95%, it might have been 99%. It was something insane like that. Have one episode.
One episode.
People do one episode and they never go back to it. Then another, whatever the remaining number was, whether it was 5% or 1%, 9 out of 10 of those fall off after 10 episodes.
Wow.
So my podcast, which is over 150 episodes, which, keep in mind, compared to very successful podcasts, is a lot less. No, Joe Rogan doesn't he do 5 a week? Doesn't he do Monday through Friday?
Gosh, I don't even know.
And then when you think of like a radio personality like the Glenn Beck program, he does, I think, 6 a week. He does 5 radio programs, and then he does 1 interview. That's a podcast. You're Welcome with Michael Malice is another one that I really like. That one, they only do, I think, 1 a week. So it depends on the type of podcast. Obviously, the guys that are doing their podcasts for a living, they're going to be doing them every day. We put out 1 episode a week, and then we also put our church's messages up on our podcast. So once we're done with a series of preaching, we'll dump, anywhere between, 5 to 20 episodes up all at once, which is a book of the Bible or something like that. Yeah. So, I mean, we're doing a little more than 1 a week, but our podcast is wildly successful, and it's certainly wildly successful as a Christian podcast just based on the fact that we haven't given up.
So the exponential growth toward making money at a podcast, like the number of people who actually do that must be incredibly small.
It's pathetically small. I mean, it's so ridiculously small.
But people are just wandering around listening to podcasts all day long. They're all listening to the same ones.
No, but if you think about it, there's only room for so many TV shows to be, extremely successful.
Yeah.
So what you end up with is, so you have people that were already very successful in some other field. So you were a very successful athlete, you were a very successful author, and you ended up being a public speaker. Maybe you were a pastor that has a church of 3,000-4,000 people every Sunday. Well, someone that has that many people, you have to remember they also have an online presence of who knows how much. So it's a lot easier to get something going. You could go to a news program or a newspaper that's nationally known, and they can have a website, a YouTube channel, a podcast, and it has amazing numbers.
Yeah.
Because they're already whoever, there's a Washington Post or, whoever, so when you're dealing with someone that does not have fame from anything else in his life and is trying to get a podcast going that is a subject that, let's face it, people are just not beating down your door to get to, which is conservative Bible teaching, you're just not starting from a great place.
No.
But Zach, I'll tell you what, this is what my listeners say, which obviously is going to be the most glowing, review of our podcast. They said, you're the only Christian podcast I've ever found that I like.
Wow.
And Zach, I'll be honest, I had one guy tell me, he's like, go ahead and try to find one. I was like, okay, I couldn't.
Oh, I bet you.
Everyone that I listened to made me want to blow my brains out.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of stuff that's just very non-confrontational. Nothing's going to ever offend you. It's not thus saith the Lord. It's not hard, very straight, clear, black and white. Thus saith the Lord. This is the Bible. Get on board or you're an idiot. It's all, soft soap, whitewashed,
There's got to be some good teaching, though. I mean, there's good teachers.
There are, but so I have not, I'm sure I know the idea that, my Christian podcast is the only, good one they found.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's the only good one that's out there. Sure. I have tried to find one, not very hard, but I've looked around. And when I started searching for Christian podcasts, I started with the top however many, and I listened to a bunch of them. And Zach, here's what I do.
Yeah.
I scroll through and I find some real controversial topics, and I listen to those.
Oh, okay.
And that's how I based that podcast.
So intense, man.
Did they take a serious stance for the Bible, or did they not? And if they don't, I write them off as a joke. Yeah.
Move on to the next
why do I need to listen to that? That's everywhere. What? I need one more person telling me the Bible's not that big a deal. I don't have to take it seriously. Give me a break.
Yeah, sure.
That Christianity is everywhere. So when I've gone around and looked, I haven't been able to find a bunch. I found some podcasts that you want to know what I like the most? I like it when I find a pirated podcast of a pastor who died before podcasts existed. And it ended up being the guy in the sound room that had 250 cassette tapes of this pastor. And he digitizes those and he puts one up a week. And he pays the $20 a week to keep the thing online, or not a week, but $20 a month to keep the thing going. And it's a podcast of a pastor that's been dead for 40 years.
Yeah.
And I get to listen to all of his sermons, and I'm like, wow, this guy can rip it.
Yeah, that's
like, this is amazing Bible teaching. Oh, this is great. So I found podcasts that, I don't know who owns those sermons. I mean, who owns my sermons at my church? I have no idea. Does our church own them? Do I personally own them? I don't know. And when I die, who's in charge of them? Yeah, what happens? Yeah. But somebody took it upon themselves. They're like, no, I love my pastor. He's a great preacher. I'm putting it up on a podcast. I'm going to want to hear it. And I do. And I have some friends that have done the same thing. And they told me, they're like, oh, you got to listen to J. Vernon McGee. Like, who's he? Okay, you've heard the name.
Yeah, I know J. Vernon.
And so you can find podcasts like that where I'm like, wow, this guy's really good. It is difficult. It's a sign of the times.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. If someone is going to be like a prophet, they are going to have fewer followers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Than if they are going to be like a false prophet. The false prophets went to the king and they said, hey, everything's great. God loves everything you're doing. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. They were just yes men.
Wipe out Jerusalem.
Yeah. And then one guy shows up and he is different from the however many false prophets that were there, and guess what? They don't like him very much.
Sure.
So, and I am really not trying to say like, oh, I'm the true prophet, or, my podcast is the one and only place.
But it's not what people are looking for.
No, I'm just saying that it is not a popular message. And that has been the case from the time of Moses onward.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping someone goes to Patreon. You know, we have a Patreon page now. I never advertise it,
Hey,
but
there
if
you go.
someone went to my website, someone could support us if they wanted. I need a lot of that in order to be able to, take some more time off and actually do what I want.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I work as a plumber and a general contractor, and I'm probably going to do that the rest of my life, and that's okay.
Saving lives.
You got it. Saving lives. You got to find that quote. If you can find that.
I'm pretty sure that was Jordan Peterson.
Really?
But he did it sort of offhanded.
No, I don't doubt it. I'll still put it on a t-shirt.
He was trying to convince young men to go to trade school.
Go to trade school and be a plumber. You save more lives than doctors do.
He's like, you'll save lives.
Yeah.
Because
you got it.
Toilets.
That's right. Sanitation,
I
baby.
The first time I heard it, I was like,
that is absolutely true.
It's so right.
It's totally true.
Have your toilet stop working.
Yeah.
Try that for a day.
I was listening to who's the guy, the Dirty Jobs guy.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name. Everyone knows him.
Yes.
Mike Rowe.
Yeah. Love Mike Rowe.
I was listening to him, and he was being interviewed, and I mean, he has a pretty singular message. Like, there's a need in this country for people to be in the trades, and it's not being pushed. And he said, here's the great part. Pretty soon, everyone's going to be preaching my message. And the interviewer's like, what do you mean? He said, pretty soon, everyone's going to be saying, you need to go to trade school. He said, how's that going to happen? He says, that's easy. Your toilet doesn't work and you got to wait 6 months for a plumber.
Yeah. Then what are you going to do?
Yeah. He says, when your air conditioning goes out, when you need a plumber, how long do you want to wait for one? And the guy's like, well, I don't want to wait. I want the guy there today. And he's like, yeah, but right now you're going to wait an average of a month.
Because nobody can.
You got it. He said, next year it's going to be 3 months. He says the number of plumbers that are dying and retiring every day in this country, they're not being replenished. He said, so, you're going to need to wait. And he said, at some point, everyone is going to be saying, we need more people to do this.
Yep.
So
you can flush a toilet if you got a bucket of water.
Oh, yeah.
You can
just pour it right down in there. And yep.
But guess what happens when the toilet starts filling up and you don't have any water left either?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You go running. You hope that it's a house made of concrete like you can.
I've learned some things in Kenya. I've learned some things there. But yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a young kid, think about going to trade school.
All right, everyone. We're at over the 2-hour mark. Zach, thank you for joining us.
Always.
And please join us every Sunday night around 7 p.m. You can comment live if you get on Facebook or YouTube and watch us. And I think next week it's going to be my wife was on last week because you couldn't do last week. So I think next week I'm going to be by myself, and I don't know what I'm going to be talking about. I got a couple things that I'm working on. So it'll be, I don't know. It'll happen. I don't know if it'll be great. I don't want to make any promises. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll catch you next week.